Hello afternoon everybody and welcome to our daily doodle. Today's daily doodle is Batman. So we are going to draw Batman, okay? And we're going to take our time and try and draw a full figure Batman today. And afterwards you might want to put him in Gotham City and finish the design yourself. But today I'm going to show you how to start off with one of those stick people and then how to build round to create your Batman figure, okay? This helps you get proportion and helps it all fit nicely together. So we're going to start off with our head, and our head is going to be up here. And it's a full figure Batman, so we're going to have to divide him up correctly. So let's put his head here, okay? I'm just going to do a small oval for his head to start with. Now remember what I said, this is going to be, we're going to do all the guide like a stick man first, and then we're going to fill him in afterwards. Okay, now I want to draw a kite. So I'm going to start in the middle of his head. I'm going to go out like this and out like this. That's the top of my kite. I'm going to go down and down. That's the sides of my kite. And then I'm going to go across, and I've slightly done an angle rather than straight. That's the bottom of my kite. This is going to be Batman's chest later. Okay, now we want to do the bottom of a tie that Daddy might wear to the office. So we're just going to put a little line for a belt, and then we're going to do the bottom of the tie. So we're going to kick it out there, and then triangle in the middle, triangle in the middle. So this is our guide marks to start with. This is Batman's torso. This is Batman's head. And now let's mark in where his arm's going to be. So we're going to have one arm here. And it goes down to the joint of the elbow. I'm going to put a circle in for his joint. And then I'm going to put his forearm in down here. And a circle for his hand. Doesn't look much like Batman yet, I know, but you remember the way Karen teaches you, it all makes sense. Second arm, down, straight down, same distance for the elbow, little circle for where the elbow joint is, straight down again, same height and distance, and there's his hand. In fact, that hand is a bit too high, so I'm just going to knock him down a bit. All right, now let's put in his legs. So we're going to have one leg going out like this, and the other one slightly bent. So the one going out, we're going to go all the way down, and we're going to put in a circle for the knee and an oval for the foot. This one, we're going to go a little bit, so that one was down at an angle. This one's going to go straight down, and then that's where his knee's bending, so I'm going to put the circle in for his knee bent, his knee joint, and then I'm just going to go straight down a little bit. So it looks like the weight of his body is on that front leg. So that's the hardest bit of Batman, is plotting him, okay? Now we need to get our Batman with a little bit more meat on him. We need to get his head in, his big torso, all of his muscles. So let's start to draw his head. Okay, I'm going to put two lines across where his eyes are going to go. One there and one there. So that's where his eyes are on his Batman mask. Now, Batman's head is straight up one side, straight up the other, and it's got little Batman ears at the top. So I've just followed the side of my circle so far, and then instead of it having a big hump like I've drawn, it's a bit flatter, isn't it? Batman's head is a bit flatter. So you can see I've just gone underneath that curve for Batman's head. Okay, I'm now going to curve it here at the shoulder. And I'm going to curve it at the other shoulder. Okay, so now his head is joined his body. And I want to put a line across so I can put the cape in. So I'm going to go from one side of the shoulder to the other side of the shoulder, and I want it to touch the bottom of my circle where I did the chin. Okay, so here we go. Cross like that, side to side. Now let's start to put that cape in. So that cape goes up over his shoulders, and it's going to flow down the other side. So we let it drop as if it's a fold of material. Then I do a second one, up over the shoulders, And we let it drop. And another line there. So it looks like that fabric has gone over the top. Give me a thumbs up if you're liking what my Batman, how my Batman is coming. Or give me a heart. Tell me where you're watching from. What are you doing this afternoon? Are you trying to stay inside because it's so hot? We're having we've been out. We've been to the studio. We've done a bit of shopping. We've just done made some shrinky dinks as an art hack, which I'll put up online later. And now we're just having a bit of quiet time. The guys are doing a bit of drawing and I'm doing, obviously, my daily doodle. So that's the top of his cape coming in there. Now we need to put in his shoulders and start putting in the arms. So you can see where the guide of his body is, can't you? Now, that's not the underneath of his arm, is it? The underneath of his arm is going to be down here somewhere because he's got this big chunky torso. So if we put in a little right angle or a backwards L for his big chest muscles, and then we put in a shape L on this side for the other side of his chest muscles, we get to start to see that big torso coming. So now we know that his arm actually comes from where that chest is underneath there. That's the inside of his arm. So we can go straight down to where our circle is. That's where that arm's going to join. And the shoulder is going to come out to the shoulder. And then that arm, a bit like dot to dot, is going to come down and join the outside of the circle there. The easiest way when you're drawing these things is to think about this being the bones. This is the skeleton of Batman. And if you think about that being the skeleton, then you always put this bit in the middle of his muscles. Okay, so let's put in the other one on the other side. So a rounded shoulder, and it's got to come down to here, hasn't it? So round the top and down to here. Am I doing okay so far? I hope so. How's your drawing? Has anyone done any drawing that they would like to share? I'd love to see some of your drawings that you've done over the holidays. Now, just like doing our Elsa yesterday, the forearm is a slightly different shape. Now, I called it an avocado, didn't I, yesterday? And it is a bit like an avocado. Or somebody texted me and said, Karen, it's like a 10-pin from 10-pin bowling. You know, one of those Skittles? So we're going to make it look like a Skittle shape. So it comes out here, and he's obviously got much more muscly forearms than Elsa. So we need to give it a good muscle there and a good muscle on the other side. And that goes down to his wrist. So that's one bit for Batman. In fact, it could be a bit more bumpy there. This side, nice big muscle there and into the forearm. And this side, nice big muscle there and into the forearm. So if I was going to draw a Skittle, I'll draw it next to it. Look, this is an upside down one, but you can see why somebody said, oh, Karen, it's like a Skittle. So that would be one of those Skittles. It's upside down, but you can turn your phone around and you can see what I mean. Okay, so I'm now going to bring this, now I've got my arms in, I'm going to bring that cape all the way down the outside of his body, outside of his arm, same with that one. Bring the cape all the way down like that. And now let's do his funky utility belt, okay? And I'm going to do sausage, 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 sausage. Everybody can draw a sausage. And then I'm just going to join it up. So we've done, Batman has a sausage utility belt. How easy is that? So we've got some Skittles, we've got some circles, we've got a kite that we've drawn. We've now drawn some sausages for our utility belt. Super easy. He always looks so much harder than he really is, but actually Batman isn't too tricky. Now, I'm not going to do his face just yet. I'm going to leave that for later. But let's look at his hands. This hand here is going to be a fist. So he's about to punch the Joker. So we're going to use our circle as our guide, and we're going to do a straight line from one side of his wrist out to the outside of that circle. Then a straight line from that side of the circle down to here. So go point to point. Then a tiny little line and stop. Now the next one is we're going to do a line that is exactly the same angle as that one. And it goes to the outside of our circle. A little bit down there because this is its finger. This is Batman's finger that's all scrunched up, ready to fight in his fist. He's angry. And now if we do the thumb on this side, then it starts to look like he's got a fist. So we go out, we follow the angle, and we go down. And if we put in a little line, now we can see that that looks like a fist. So Batman has got his fist and he's ready to fight. This side is not going to be a fist, it's going to be fingers. So let's take the fingers one at a time. Okay, this little piggy, well, it's a thumb, so it's the shortest finger. Then we've got pointer, which is the second finger. Then we've got the longest finger, which is middle finger. So we put in middle finger. Remember, they've got sections, fingers bend. Then we've got ring finger. Now you can make his nice and round because he's wearing gloves. So he doesn't need nails, he doesn't need any of those little things because he's wearing gloves. So there's his glove hand on that side. Inside here, we're going to give him at the centre of his belt. And it's a bit like a ticket. A ticket or the letter G. So I'm just kind of doing, or a puzzle shape like that. So you can make that whatever shape you want. And then I'm going to put the Batman symbol in here, which is a big oval on his chest. So get my oval nice. And it's a semicircle on one side. A semicircle on the other side. So far it doesn't look like a Batman symbol, I know. And then we're going to do a heart in the middle. That still doesn't look like a Batman. All the boys are going, looks nothing like Batman, Karen. But what happens if we point the heart and then we do a curve from that shape to that shape? Point the heart here and do a curve from that shape to that shape. So we started off with a heart and then we did a point. And now here we go right up, do a little wobble and down. So it's like the letter M. Letter M and down. Now if I colour all that in with my pencil, I reckon that looks like the Batman symbol pretty good. And all we did was two semicircles, a heart and two letter M's. And all of a sudden we've got Batman. Super easy, hey? Especially when you start to pull him back. Right, now let's put on some gloves. So I'm going to put a line there and a line across his forearm there. Now we can start to see that they look like gloves. And we'll start to build his bottom end because he looks really, really strong at the top, but he doesn't look so strong at the bottom, does he? But we're going to do exactly the same. Remember, this is our bones. So that's his thigh bone, his knee bone, and his calf bone. So we're going to start to widen up his bottom. So this is his bottom area or his torso, the lower torso. And he wears those gym pants. Now, I think the bottom of my kite is a bit low. It makes him look like he's got a bit of a low gusset. So I'm just going to rub that out and I'm going to make it a little bit shorter, okay? So you know what it's like, boys, if you're wearing Speedos in the beach? They're a bit like those, a bit like underpants, I guess. Well, we all know what pants or what type of pants Batman has. They're kind of like those, aren't they? All right, so that's. I don't want to dwell on his bits and bobs there, do I? But I don't want them to be wrong either. Otherwise, I'll have a whole raft of complaints. Okay, now his thigh. So he stood with his weight on this leg. So this leg is going to curve out from his hip. And remember, we're going to hit that knee joint. So curving out and to the circle. We've got the circle to aim for. The inside, from the bits and bobs in the middle, my dad calls them the crown jewels. I don't know what you guys call them in your family. The bits and bobs, I'm going to call them. But from the crown jewels there to that circle, so we've gone to the knee. And now remember, he's got a really, really chunky muscle. Now I'm looking at that, thinking that that is too long. So I'm going to think that his foot should be about there. So I'm just going to put his foot in a bit higher. And I'm going to rub that out. It's too long for his body. And that's okay. To when you start to look at it in proportion, you can go, whoa, wait a minute, that's way too long. So we've got to keep on checking and editing as we go. Okay, now, we're not going to go straight down. Otherwise, he's not going to have any muscles. So there's his knee joint. I'm going to go out from his knee to give him a big bulging muscle at the bottom. I'm going to bring it into his ankle and back out, okay? And this side is the back of that muscle. And if you've ever seen Batman's back of his leg muscles, they are big and chunky. So I'm going to make sure I've got a nice big bulge there. And we're going to bring it in, and there's his ankle. So that's one leg done. Over to this leg. So this leg, the inside thigh, because his leg's going out, it's going to be straight. So it goes from his bits and bobs or the crown jewels straight down to that circle. No muscle, just a line straight down. His muscle's going to bulge on this side for me. So we've got the hip in. We're going to bulge it out a little bit and down to the circle. So he's got his thigh muscle in there. All right. Now let's get this part of his leg. Okay. This bit's going to go out just like we had here. So we need to get the muscle going out and back into the ankle. And the other side, muscle goes out and straight down to where the ankle is. All right, so that's his legs all done. And now we're gonna continue with our cape down. Now we've done the legs, we can put the cape in behind Batman. So we're gonna go from here. We're gonna make sure it goes all the way down, because I think it goes all the way down as far as of his ankles, doesn't it? He has a really long back cape. We'll put in another fold and another fold there. And now we're going to start to put the bottom, the sculpt, the sculpy bit of the bottom, a bit like bat's wings. I guess that's what it's for. So you can do whatever curvy shapes you want to do for the bottom of the bat. And then he has these really funky bits on the side of his gloves. Original Batman doesn't have it, but new Batman does, and I think they look really cool. But because he's slightly turned, this is the inside of his arm, that's the outside of his arm. We wouldn't see that one because the sculpy bits on that arm would be in behind. So we're only going to do one, just on one side there. It's looking good, guys. So what we're going to do now is focus on these great big round things here, which are his feet, because they don't look like Batman's feet at the moment, do they? Well, Batman has some really cool boots. So let's put in Batman's boots, like that. And can you see, instead of putting the top of Batman's boot in the middle there, I've put it just over to one side, because if I put it over to one side, it looks like his foot is facing that way. So that's the way I'm going to draw. I'm going to put my foot going down. It's a boot, so we don't have to worry about any toes. Round at the bottom, back there, down that side, and give it a little heel. Okay, give it a little heel. And then Batman's boots have this funky little design. And a funky design running down through the front of his boot. So that helps it to look like it's turned that way. So I'm going to rub out all my guide circles and you can see there's his boot. So now we need to do a second boot. And this is often thought of as a little bit more difficult because it's facing forwards. But if we do exactly the same as we did before, which is let's put in that V first, so we can see that it's just under the knee, same as the other one. This time I am putting it, because it's facing forward, I am using my skeleton bone as the center of the leg. And I'm going to run that line, this is the front of the boot, down to the ankle, and I'm going to turn it that way. So I'm just going to turn it out that way. And roll it down. So now I can see which way my shoe's going. That's the toe there. So I now go to my ankle bone and I go follow that line and I just turn it at the toe, and that's one side of the boot. And this side I need to add in a little heel. So I go down to the bottom of the foot, I add in a little heel, and then I just join that up there. Put in that funny little line, which is kind of the sole of the boot. And there you've got Batman's heel gone in. So I think our Batman is starting to come together now. So I'm going to rub out his guidelines on his legs. We don't need those anymore, and the knees. We're going to rub out his guidelines that we did on the arms. We don't need that anymore. Thanks for that. And we need to work on his face, don't we? So we've got a nice Batman body, but we haven't got such a good Batman face. So let's have a look at Batman's face, shall we? All right, now I'm going to keep this quite simple so it doesn't become too many lines. But his mask is the most important bit, obviously, and then his square jaw. So we're going to use this line here as the nose bit of the mask. So we're going to go across. We're going to put a V there and across there. So that's the mask part. Then let's put in the eyes. And that's where his eyes are going to go. And we're going to put kind of triangles like that through the mask. And the same on this side. Like that. And then we're going to put eyebrows over the top. Like that. To give it that menacing look. Now we're going to draw from here, we're going to draw like a plant pot. So it's going to go down, bottom of the plant pot, across and back up. And that's Batman's jaw. I think I've made it a bit long, so I'm going to just going to bring it up a little bit. So that's Batman's jaw. We're going to go round here because that bit there is going to be in black anyway. So I've done a circle round Batman's jaw. Then do a bracket sign there and a bracket sign there. A straight mouth across because he doesn't really have many expressions, especially when he's in business, as he is at the moment. A semicircle shadow underneath his bottom lip. And a line through his dimply chin. Now, I'm going to draw the bits that I'm going to colour in black, okay? So I'm going to do a semicircle over the top of his head like this. And all of this bit is going to be in black. So I'm now going to colour it in, shade it in, round the eyes. And I am going to use a black pencil in a minute, but I just want to show you the contrast on Batman's face so that you can see how once you've coloured him in, or coloured him in with the black, or you might want to use felt tip pens. I'm just going to use coloured pencils because that's what I've got at home in my drawing kit. And obviously I'm not at the studio right now. So that's Batman's face. So now let's get to colouring him in. And it's pretty simple because he isn't massive amount of colours. So he is, we'll just go around the outside of his badge with a nice dark line. Like that. And see if I can get rid of some of those guidelines. Okay, so round Batman's badge is bright yellow. So we're going to colour that bit in bright yellow. His belt is also bright yellow, so we're going to colour his belt in bright yellow. His shorts, are black, so I'm giving him a good colour of black there, and I'm going to do black inside the belt there. So it's a case of like doing little by little, rubbing it out as you go, checking that he's in proportion, his arms are the right length, his legs are the right length. And once you've got his drawing, then we just set to colouring. Simple as that. So to make it look dimensional, we want to do the inside of his cape. That's going to be in black. And I'm not going to press as hard next to his shorts so that you can see the different line. And then I'm going to go harder there where that edge is. So we want a little bit of light and dark. Even though it's the same colour pencil, the harder you press, the more colour will come out. So if you don't press super hard, you'll get a grey tone. And if you press really hard like that, you'll get a black tone. So where we've got folds, we can press really hard to make it look like folds in the fabric. And then you can press less hard to colour it in. And you'll get that sort of movement that you're looking for. Just go around the bottom of his head, around the bottom of his cape. Don't want to rush it too much. I'm not using water on this one. It is going to be a pencil drawing. So I do want to make sure I've got some nice lines around the edge of my figure. My friend, one of my best friends in England, he's an animator. And when he learnt how to do animation, so he's done animation for all sorts of films. Shaun of the Dead, you know, he's done lots. He's worked for Domino's Pizza. He's, you know, done really quite a lot of work. He's worked on a Star Wars. And he's done heaps. Anyway, when he was training and he was at college, he was at art college, but when he then went on and he decided he wanted to be an animator, he practiced and practiced by drawing figures like this. So he just would get lots of Disney figures or Marvel figures, and he would just practice drawing all the animations, and then he'd draw them as a static, then he'd change them up and he'd draw them kind of moving or reacting. And back then when we were at college, we didn't have stop-go animation, but he would just take photographs of them and try and make them move. And he sort of understood how a character's body moved by just doing lots and lots of drawings. And even now, okay, most of it is done digitally, but even now, people are still using good old-fashioned drawings like this to work out the animation of a series of characters. Okay, so I've just put in a bit of black on Batman's face there. Now I'm going to put the blue on. And you know me, I like to use a couple of blues, but I'm going to start off with what I would call Batman blue, which is like a royal blue or a navy blue. Do the outside of his cape, like that. Again, colouring it in nicely in section by section, so I get a really good colouring in. And then the cape over this arm. And in a minute, I'm going to use a darker blue to give it some depth so that we can get some shape in it. So that's going down the side of the arm. Batman's gloves are also blue, so I'm going to make sure I colour those in. Even these little funny bits here. Over, if I cover that colour that way, just do his little fingers. And now this side of the glove. Do his fist. I'm not going to press too hard there so you can still see the drawing. If you colour it and you lose the drawing, then just use your pencil and just press a little bit harder and draw those lines in again. So I'm just pressing a little bit harder to draw those finger lines in again. I'll do the same on this side. There you go. Okay, what else is blue on Batman? He has blue boots. So let's go down here and do his boots. And this boot. And do the rest of his cape. And down this side. And then we need to do the grey of his body. Oh, so I was going to add in two blues. So this is a darker blue. You can see if I show you the two blues together, one is definitely lighter than the other. So I'm going to use that darker blue. And I'm just going to put some dark blue on that side of the glove, where the wrist is. And here the same. Put it on the inside of the glove to help it make it look more like a curved arm. I'm also going to put some of that dark blue on his cape. And on the inside of his boot. To help show shadow. And then where these folds are here, we're going to add some dark blue there. Round where it would be a little bit shadow from the shoulder, the folds there, the fold there. Ooh, just dropped it. And then round the shoulder. So that's my dark blue. Now we need to use grey, and we're going to do the rest of his body in grey. And I'm using a nice consistent colouring in here so that I get a nice even colour. because in a minute I'm going to put some black on top again to show some shady areas. So nice even, using the side of my pencil, nice even strokes to colour him in, like that. And we're going to need to use black to show some muscle definition. Get Batman's muscles going, shall we? So I'm trying to keep it the same colour, a consistent colour over Batman's torso. So I'm pressing the same amount. So I'm not doing light and dark, it's just consistently the same colour. Nearly done. Okay, so now to give some definition to his body, I'm going to use my black and I'm going to put in some shadow. So I'm putting in some shadow there underneath where the cape would be. Then I'm going to put in some shadow here where that big bulgy muscle would be. And I'm going to draw in a muscle line there, and a muscle line there, and a muscle line there, and a bit of a shadow. Okay, now let's do his pecs. So let's go back over those lines we first drew, and there'd be a shadow underneath them. And underneath that one there too. And we're going to put in his six-pack. So we're going to put in a sternum line there. And we're going to put in a line there, and a line there, and a line there, and a line there. And then we're going to put a shadow just underneath that line, okay? So that helps to raise the bit above and helps to show that he's got this amazing six-pack. And when you're doing shadowing, you just need to not press too hard, because if you press too hard, then it comes off as like a really thick, scribbly line. But you want it to be a soft sort of, soft rolling line, really, so that you just add colour on top of colour, but without it being really defined. So you're not drawing a pattern, you're just adding another layer gently on top of the colours you've already done. So sometimes it's good to have a spare piece of paper and just have a little practice of how to get tone and shade, so you can go from this dark like this, and then as you lift up your pencil and you take the pressure off, you can get lighter and lighter and lighter. Okay, so that's the same pencil, and that's just the pressure that I've put on. And that's what you do when you're trying to shade things in. I'm just adding in some shade here under his arm. And now we're going to do exactly the same on his leg for a bit of leg definition. So put his muscle in and his muscle there. So I'm just putting in a couple of kind of muscle lines, really. Put in his knees. Put in a bit of muscle line there. So the shadow line just helps to really bring out the muscle. Now, you could use a black felt tip to go round your Batman, or you could use your black pencil like I am here. And I'm just going round the outside using a nice sharp line to finish him off. To get that sharp line, you need a nice sharp pencil. Mine isn't very sharp, but I'm not going to stop now and sharpen it. If I was doing this just for myself, I would sharpen my pencil so that it was nice and sharp. And then I'm just going right round all of my drawing so I get that lovely crisp outline. And after this, we've got one final thing. We're going to get the colour that we've got for the skin tone, and we're just going to colour in his eye and colour in his skin there. And although those eyebrows are highlights on his mask, We don't want it to be bright white like that, so I'm just going to use the grey, and I'm just going to go grey over the top. And there you go. There's my Batman. Pretty cool, I reckon. Give me a thumbs up if you like it. Let me know what you think. I'm going to carry on and draw Gotham City in the background. I'd love to see yours, and we can compare notes. All right, take care. See you later. Bye.